Well, and I joined because and it was just appropriately timed, Mark, because in that time, as you said, the Med-Mal legislation, House Bill 4, codified, really shut the, if you look, the medical malpractice suits, people said, well, no more frivolous lawsuits. Actually, many of the suits of the elderly and children, because they didn't work and they didn't make economic, their way or had the opportunity to, their cases, quite frankly, many lawyers would go broke trying to bring about that case, spend $500,000 in expenses and time and effort, and then only get $250,000. It just doesn't make sense.
Happen.
It can't happen.
Yeah.
And so the courthouse doors have closed. Many people didn't understand the effect of that. So we were all kind of downtrodden about that and said, how can this injustice happen? So I was glad to join the organization, and I want people out there to know about that because, like you said, our Savior was the victim of injustice by courts and by judges, and you yourself have deeply entrenched education in theology also, correct? Now, the myth and the legend behind Mark Lanier, were you going to actually be a minister?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I trained to be a minister and had that job opportunity coming out of my training, but opted instead to go to law school because I figured I could always still teach at church even if I don't do it for a living. So I practice law really to pay the bills and to take care of my family while I teach. I still teach every Sunday. I've got about 350 people that show up each Sunday to hear me and have for most of my adult life. And can I give my website for my lessons?
Absolutely.
You can go read my lessons. You can hear my lessons. You'll soon see my lessons. My PowerPoints are there. www.biblical-literacy.com. biblical-literacy.com. And we've got almost 1 million folks who view that each year and download those lessons all around the world.
And that's biblical-literacy.com.
That is correct.
Well, in this day and age where we have less and less people are going to church, and I'm not trying to put my beliefs, certainly I'm one of the biggest sinners there is.
We all are.
We all are.
Any committed Christian will tell you we need the Savior.
That's right. That's right. But less and less people are going to church now, and it's become more of a secular thing. And what's happened is I think these businesses indirectly have keyed in on that. Wouldn't you agree that, the corporations, it's all about the almighty dollar, and they're putting profits before people, Mark. I've seen that I did a lot of nursing home law, and I just can't afford to do it anymore. I'm not a rich lawyer by any means, but we really can't take a lot of those nursing home cases, and let's just snatch that up and look at it. And for the people out there, all of us are growing old. The baby boomers have just this year, I think, turned 62 or 65.
That's right.
That's right. So, it's going to affect all of us, our care. And I think the net effect, I was in the healthcare field, still am, by limiting lawsuits and medical malpractice, it took away a safeguard. And I think care has suffered even more. And I think especially in the nursing homes, you're not being held, those people, those corporations aren't being held accountable. How much medical malpractice and nursing home practice do you still do in your office?
We do very little in the Houston office. Now, we've got offices in New York, and we've got offices in California, and in New York especially, they're a lot tougher on corporate criminals than we are down here in Texas. And so the nursing homes in New York still have to turn the patients that can't turn themselves to stop them from getting the ulcers that can ultimately just literally eat their body away and cause them a most miserable death. In Texas, you can't really sue those folks anymore, so you don't find them quite as careful and as stringent. You find it a lot more lackadaisical. And it's a real crying shame to me that we don't do a better job at protecting our elderly, protecting our mothers, our soccer moms and single moms and others who basically have very little protection now from the doctors and the healthcare system.
Well, and you bring up a good point because there are a lot of people out there that get frustrated with that and the courthouse doors being closed. Many of them have said, Dad's being abused. They're not turning him in the nursing home. We don't think he's even being fed. we want you to take the case and sue them. You know, I get calls like that and say, well, my hands are kind of tied because really if there's no economic damages, a case like this and the magnitude of it, as we said, there's not enough, even after, and the Medicaid liens and everything. In fact, I was just trying to resolve one in our break. It's not feasible to take it, plus they will get no recovery at all.
Yeah, you can't do it. You spend more trying to win money. It will cost you more than you're ever going to get. And by you, I don't mean the lawyer. I mean the lawyer and the victims all added up. There is a maximum amount that's going to be paid under this law, and that maximum amount will not cover the cost of trying the case. It just won't. And so, and insurance companies know this, so they're not going to settle. They're going to push you to the max. They're going to say, you sign up that case, Lanier or Flores, you sign up that case, we're going to push you all the way to the courthouse because we know you cannot win enough money. You cannot win enough money under the law to make what you're going to pay to do it. So they've shut that door. I mean, they've slammed it shut. And we've let it happen because we haven't held our politicians accountable. And we've got to do something about that. Our legislature needs to wake up. The governor of Texas ought to be ashamed that he signed that he let that, not only let it pass, but that he pushed it. And I'm not trying to be political here. I'm just saying that we got a serious problem that ought to be fixed.
Well, and it's not just the elderly and not just the medical malpractice, but now this has spilled over in all types of litigation, hasn't it? And,
yes, it has.
And to educate the people, they say, well, we thought we were trying, they thought they were doing the right thing. I talked to so many people. We did phone banking. We tried to do a media blitz. And all the poor people have in this country, people with any reasonable amount of money, are trial lawyers on their side. The unions and the teachers and the working people don't have any money to take on these big corporations. And on the right side of the aisle, you got insurance companies, you got corporations, you got everybody pushing an agenda. And they're doing a great job of it. My hat's off to them. I hope they can sleep well at night when these people are dying, getting abused, children are being exposed to all these dangers, and there's not anybody being held accountable. And I believe there'll be a reckoning someday. There'll be a swing back. But for now, how is this spreading like a virus to other parts of litigation in Texas?
Oh, it's spreading immensely. One of the scariest things is recently a judge has ruled in Texas that if a drug company wants to use you and me as a guinea pig, they want to give us drugs and not tell us the harsh results of those drugs, how they can kill us or how they can hurt us, then the drug company's free to use us as a guinea pig. And they're free to test that drug on us and not tell us what they know about that drug, because the theory is if they've pulled the wool over the FDA's eyes and gotten the FDA to approve a drug, then we shouldn't have any right to sue them for it. Now, the sad part is the FDA does not test drugs. FDA doesn't even have enough staff to keep salmonella off the tomatoes. The FDA, by everybody's reckoning, is undermanned. They're underfunded. They get most of their drug money from the drug companies. They get the drug test results from the drug companies. The FDA doesn't do its own testing generally. And we've now got judges in Texas who've made law that says if the drug company uses Texans as guinea pigs, then that's okay. You can't sue them. And that's just that's frightening. What's happened here? What's happened here?
Well, you know, a lot of people are going to be out there saying, oh, come on, Mark. I mean, you're really exaggerating. They're going to catch it. They're going to be safeguards. They're going to say, well, the trial lawyers are all over it. They jumped on Vioxx and Celebrex and
That was before the law was changed.
There you go.
Before the law was changed. And I'll tell you, even in the Vioxx cases, the judge tried to throw those out in the state of Texas. We had to push most of our Vioxx cases through New Jersey because we can't get justice in Texas. We have to go up to a New Jersey judge and ask that New Jersey judge to hold the company accountable, because in Texas they won't do it. It's an absolute frightening situation, and if anybody doesn't believe that it's there, they just need to go read Judge Wilson's opinion in the Vioxx cases. But I'm here to tell you, it's absolutely the way I've described it. If anything, it's even worse.